And welcome to Justice Losers, the most unqualified podcast exploring irrelevant questions about entertainment, namely movies, TVs, and comics. I'm your host, Preston, joined as always by my delightful co-host,
Batman.
And also 4 other people. And
Gang's all here.
Gang's all here. I'll start going right to left for my right. We're joined by Matt's lovely fiance, Hannah.
Hi, I'm Hannah. Happy to be here.
We're joined by my lovely girlfriend, Kayelin, who's been on an episode before.
Hello, I'm Kayelin.
Great.
We're joined by our lovely editor, Gage.
Hi, everyone.
The man, the myth, the legend.
And making her both episode debut and also mention debut, probably, Gage's wife, Katherine.
I also am here and exist.
Apparently.
Yeah.
The amount we talk about you.
So this episode...
Non-entity in our lives.
This episode is going to be hectic and also way different than normal. We're all currently in a mountain in Montana. In a mountain. And we are flying back on the day we normally record and are going to be super tired, so we're just doing it here. We're sitting at a table surrounding Gage's computer, which is recording.
Mm-hmm.
And we're just going to talk about things that we're doing. It's going to be like a big what you been up to episode with just everyone talking about things. We're just going to let the conversation flow. No topic this week. So yeah, I think where we can lead off is a mutual what you been up to for everybody is the first episode of Loki. Which we're going to be a little late on it because the second episode's come out already. We haven't seen it because we've been in a mountain. Get your
preposition straight.
So yeah, first episode of Loki. Who wants to kick us off?
I loved it.
Yeah, it was good.
Yes,
it was good.
So good.
Let's get some collective reactions here.
Yeah.
What do people? So you loved it,
Yes.
Gage?
I enjoyed it a lot. I'm really excited for the bunch of weird, timey-wimey, crazy magic stuff.
Wibbly wobbly.
Well, yes.
Did you say
right.
you were Hoovian?
That's another one of our what you've been up to, so we'll get to that later.
Call it.
I wish I had watched Endgame more recently because I was very confused for a lot of the episode before the memories actually came back to me about how things happened.
And by memories, you mean me and Nathan explaining to you.
That's what I mean. But I liked it.
I think it'll be very interesting. Honestly, I think it took a little bit to kind of dig into the episode. But I'm excited to kind of see where it goes, and I kind of like some of that trippy time warp type stuff.
Yeah.
Like Gage was saying, I was very interested to kind of see what all they do with this show.
Right.
I thought it was terrible, and I think you're all stupid. No,
Knew that was coming.
Oh, I'm kidding. I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I'm very intrigued to see where they go with this.
Yeah.
They changed the universe, and I'm glad they did.
Yeah. I am immediately vastly impressed with the way they just, like, right off the bat, well, not really, like, toward the end of the episode, handled just a very visceral commentary on the character of Loki.
Mm-hmm.
Like, kind of, because something that I was concerned going into this episode, or into the show in general, was that we saw Loki's redemption post-Avengers. And this is a just after Avengers Loki who has not had redemption yet.
Mm-hmm.
So they're going to do like a different redemption. And they kind of just like instant redeemed him. Like just having him like reflect on himself and say like, I am a flawed being. And like it's immediate redemption. So like I'm kind of happy with how they did that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they kind of did what they ended up doing with White Vision in WandaVision. They just stuffed all his memories into his head and now he's the original. Or is he?
That's
Theseus!
Yeah.
Anyway.
What do you think about the rapid, like, watching him watch all of his non-memories, like the futures, and including him literally dying?
I think that was probably like my favorite part, just because Tom Hiddleston is such a good actor. He's not really like, he doesn't need to do a lot besides just like very, very much like in his eyes and facial expressions subtly changing to go from like, is he impressed with himself? Is he like doubting himself and the sadness, and then like conclusion of like, okay, I don't want to die. That's not what he wants to do. So now he's here in this like new universe to him, and like, what's gonna happen next?
Yeah.
I love the just the like kind of psychotic laughing that happened when he watched himself die at the end.
Oh yeah,
Like
he snapped a little bit.
I feel like
Yep.
if you
Just
see
like his neck.
yourself being brutally murdered, I feel like that's a pretty appropriate response.
Yeah.
Yep.
Just like that weird mental break. That was great.
Yeah, and it's partly existential for him, right? Because like the whole first half of the episode, he's like, I am a god. I'm going to be the god king of the universe. And then watching himself just get wiped out that easily, like, that changes you.
I think it was also interesting that when you kind of tell, when he realizes that there could be this greater being when he sees, like, those infinity stones, I'm like, oh, people use these as paperweights. Like,
That was a great moment.
He is in a place where infinity stones, which, as we've known so far, are just, like, these immense powers, and then that they're basically useless here. It's just him kind of realizing that and kind of seeing that in those gears turning in his mind.
Yeah.
And like, whoa, okay, there's something going on here. I thought that was really interesting.
Yep. Yeah, the way I put it earlier this week, and I really like this phrase, so I'm bringing it back, is Loki meets God, and God is a bureaucracy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, he's chaos. He's like, it's so funny that they just. I mean, so far he and Thor have been kind of the tier 2 of power in, like, because Thanos.
Right.
Is like tier 1. I got a confused glare from Kayelin, which is why I'm clarifying. Thanos is like the tier 1 god, basically, because he beat Thor.
Yep.
And then there's Thor and Loki and like the Asgardians. And just to have him be, like Hannah said, just among people who view Infinity Stones as paperweights, just it puts a character that we know personality-wise in a completely different context to allow him to develop differently, which, I mean, kind of was the intent.
It almost humbles him a little bit.
Absolutely.
And Tom Humbleston. I hated that so much.
That was a stretch.
I'm so interested to see what happens next, though. Is he gonna suddenly side with the TVA and help him fight himself? Or I could see a part of him almost teaming up with whatever this other version of himself is that they're
right,
chasing.
because the end of the episode was, hey, the bad guy we've been tracking is the bad you. Or another you.
When you get to... Oh, go ahead.
We could be looking like fools to the people who have already seen the second
that's true.
episode
That's
right
true.
now,
Exactly.
because that question has probably been partially answered
Right.
for the rest of the world.
Welcome to the podcast where we constantly
Who
look
is
like fools
not
to everyone
on
for everything we
Questions
say.
are literally now irrelevant.
Right, exactly. Yeah. Do you think it's actually Loki?
I think it's probably Loki from a different, maybe earlier point in time when he was a little more violent and had bigger aspirations, I guess.
How do you think that happened? Because it would have to be a variant, which
Yep.
means that he would have to do something time-related, which
Maybe
means...
after the Rainbow Bridge, like in Thor, like when he falls off, maybe something went different there because we never really saw exactly what happened.
Oh my God.
That's true.
The time distortion in Ragnarok, where he's been at Sakaar for like a while, that might have something. I don't know what it's going to do, but that could have something to do with it. Where he's been there for a while, but then Thor showed up. Like they left because the rainbow, like you said, the Rainbow Bridge, the Bifrost, I guess, distorts time. I'll deal with it. There's a moth behind me, and Katherine is apparently deathly afraid of moths. So I'm just gonna got it. Get off my... Oh! They do disintegrate! Oh, God!
Oh my god!
They just, like, powder! Well, that was exciting.
So
I got it.
what's everyone think about Mothra?
I will, jumping back into Loki and his variation, I did already hear a spoiler about who the villain
Oh, God.
Obviously, not gonna say it, but I will say I am extremely excited.
Oh, no. Well, it's not Kang the Conqueror, then, because I feel like you wouldn't know who Kang the Conqueror is.
Oh, don't worry, I've done a lot. I've been listening to a lot of,
Other entertainment podcasts? Is that what you're about to say?
No.
You're married to the editor of this podcast.
Comic review of the Marvel stuff. And so,
You're on thin ice.
Buster.
It is interesting to see, if you think in Loki's shoes, where you've just basically had revealed to you that you've never had any free will, and everything you've ever done is destined to happen. It is interesting. I can see him... At this point, it seems like in the TVA is the only place in the universe where you have free will, which is a little weird.
That's something that I'm trying to figure out. That's because I mentioned that when we watched the episode. Is what like if the timekeepers. Time Lords is from Doctor Who, right?
Yeah.
God, there's gonna be so. I feel like they're gonna have a lot of Doctor Who references throughout the show.
Maybe. Yeah.
But if the timekeepers determine the timeline, then I feel like the TVA is also on a certain timeline that is making sure that the other time things are on track. Like it, I feel like it.
Hold on. What's with the robot voice?
That's the voice I do when I start getting confused at both my own thing, but also it's because something else is confusing. Time is a hard thing to do in general in creative content.
Sure.
And Marvel's just now kind of dipped into it. They did a little bit with Doctor Strange, and they did obviously a lot of it with Endgame.
Right.
But they've kind of stayed on the they didn't go very spicy with it with Endgame. They just said you have to go back and you have to put things exactly where they were.
Mm-hmm.
So basically their explanation to time is, they just fixed it after the fact. So there was never deviation. And now
we'll fix it in post. It's all a meta commentary on editing.
The TVA is editors. Gage, take that out. I mean, I'm concerned that they're going to try to do something new. It's going to get caught up in its own web of confusing, wibbly wobbly, timey wimey, if you will.
Sure. I mean, I could see. We know at least they're pretty much headed toward a multiverse thing. So, whatever happens, whether they break this timeline or not, I guess we know it's gonna get broken eventually anyway to create multiple different realities. So maybe it doesn't matter if they break the rules because it's all gonna be messed up later anyway.
Yeah.
So do you think Loki will be the point that actually breaks the timeline?
He is the prime variance that just shatters the main timeline.
It seems possible. He's the one of the variants who hasn't been put back yet. Or reset or gotten rid of. So he's like the first one that we know of that has the opportunity to break everything. Anyway.
Oh, another thing that I noticed, when Loki bails and goes to that planet, I think it was a desert somewhere. I don't know if that was Earth.
Mongolia.
Yeah. It was Mongolia. So he went to Mongolia, and then they showed up and did something. You didn't see what the charge that they set did, but Loki kind of looked back and looked a little shocked. You think the TVA is just a bunch of Nazis and they're like murdering people who've seen variations? I'm not even joking about this. Like, do you think that like they're horrific people and Loki's just like, I'm a little scared of them now?
Maybe. I mean, if you think about it, depending how you look at it, they're murdering everybody who would have been on that alternate timeline. Because you do kind of see what happens in the little cartoon graphic, which was really fun, that they did to explain how everything worked at the beginning with the little time person.
I did love that. Very Schoolhouse Rock vibes.
Yeah, it was great.
Good stuff.
So they did put the little device on the cartoon path timeline, and it basically dissolved the variant path on the cartoon. So they're like eliminating that entire timeline from the looks of it.
I think they're going to be bad guys. I think there isn't wild theory here. I think there's not a different variation of Loki. I think the TVA is doing some gnarly shit, and they're just gonna abuse Loki. And
what if it is another version of Loki, but it's the future version of the Loki we have as the main character in the show, and he's fighting the TVA because he's realized they're the bad guys. Whoa. This is wildly implausible, and I don't believe it, but it's kind of fun.
It's kind of fun.
You think they'll have Chris Hemsworth show up?
I bet so at some point.
See, I'd agree with you, but
we've had WandaVision and
WandaVision and Falcon and Winter Soldier,
and they didn't
haven't
have
had
any cameos.
big cameos yet.
True.
We did have Rhodey in the first episode.
That's true.
Of Falcon and Winter
We did
Soldier.
have a minor cameo.
Yeah, so we know they exist, but I don't think they'll go much bigger than that.
Yeah, I was gonna say, but also I feel like Loki is in my opinion, a bigger character than WandaVision or Falcon or Winter Soldier because he's been well established for way longer.
That's fair.
So
it's more worth
fans are more aware of who Loki is.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So like I feel like if any of them were to have a bigger cameo, it would be Loki.
Who played I'm drawing a blank on her name.
Nicholas Hoult.
No. Freda. Who played Freda? You think Freda might show up? Because there was a strong Freda's his mom, by the way, in case you don't know her name. Do you think that because he had the big moment where he watched how he was responsible for her death?
Mm-hmm.
That's a setup for like a character moment later in the show where he sees her and goes, "Oh my God, the last I saw you, I was responsible for your death in somehow my future time thing," and like kind of gives him a little bit more. Like, I mean, they've never shied away from the fact that Loki loves his mom or adopted mom. They've addressed that several times, and so having that get covered directly could pay off later. Do you think that Freda might show? Because that's a minor-ish role. That's even more minor than Rhodey.
I can see that.
Totally. I mean, they brought her back for Endgame for Thor's little redemption.
Oh, yeah.
I was gonna say they did kind of do that with Thor, seeing her on the day she died.
Yeah.
It would be interesting to like compare to see how Loki would interact with her versus how Thor would interact with her.
Yeah.
Since they did do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see it.
Because Anthony Hopkins, I mean, could show up, but I'm less sold on that because he saw through the entire thing, saw his dad die, and then he went back to rewatch Freda. Yeah. And so I think that's, if anything, that might be...
Isn't it Freya?
Freya? Oh, Freya, yeah. Who's Freda?
I've heard Frega.
Oh, that's the Lord of the Rings.
Frigga.
Yeah,
Frigga.
I've heard.
No.
I think there are different ways to pronounce it.
Yeah, I've always heard it as Frigga.
I think it also has to do with the fact that, I mean, Odin is also Woden, if you look at...
Yeah.
It's Norse mythology.
Yeah.
That's where Wednesday comes
But also,
from.
Freda is actually definitely from Lord of the Rings. That's one of the kids that was sent to Helm's Deep from one of the... Yeah. What are you most excited about this show? What are you most excited about in this show? Or in the future of the show?
I want to see more crazy time gadgets. Because I think the time collar is so much fun.
That's really fun.
And
there's a lot of room to play with that.
Yeah, they already did a bunch of fun shenanigans with it. And I'm excited. I hope there's more just fun, weird stuff like that.
Should we take a brief play break to satiate Bailey?
Yeah. And end of break.
If we were famous, we could have snuck some commercials in there. That would be great.
Yeah.
Great.
I had asked what people were looking forward to in Loki. Gage had made his comment. Does anyone have anything they want to say before we just move to the next segment? Because momentum is gone.
I guess I'm just interested to see his like character arc and how it kind of
like the new arc.
Yeah, because like we know what's happened to him in all the previous Marvel movies and everything, but just kind of seeing...
future for him.
Yeah.
Not previous.
Okay.
Previous.
Sure.
Previous for us.
Yes, but seeing kind of what all they do with his character.
Yeah.
So I'm just very intrigued by.
It'd be really cool to watch that. Yeah, like he now knows that he's admitted, and he will be around a person that he has admitted that he is a weak person to. Like, because he literally admits, like, it calls back to his own sentence that, like, fear is what weak people use to, or whatever that phrase was. And then also having watched his own redemption of him being a good person, including sacrificing himself for the universe, unfortunately in vain.
Yep.
But yeah, no, I agree.
Hey everyone, Matt here. Hope you've been enjoying this video. If you want to hear the fuller version of this discussion, you can find that on our audio-only podcast. That's going to be wherever you listen to your podcasts, be it SoundCloud or Spotify or iTunes or iHeartRadio. Appreciate you watching this far, and we hope you listen on further.